Hello, good evening, listeners. And my name is Khalid Taimur Akram, and I'm with you with the program Eurasian Perspectives. And today with us, we have our respected friend, Mr. Eldor from Tashkent, Uzbekistan. Welcome, Mr. Eldor, to Planet FM 87.6.
Thank you very much for this invitation. I'm pleased to be here with you. Thank you.
Yeah, Planet FM 87.6 is the first Pakistan Radio's official channel in English, and we are very glad to have our brother from Republic of Uzbekistan with us. Mr. Eldor is the executive director of. He's the executive director of. Development Strategy Center. The Development Strategy Center works under the Office of the President of Uzbekistan, and they are doing a lot of work. And today we are going to talk to him on a very important thing, which is a very important event which has recently happened in Republic of Uzbekistan, is their presidential elections. As we know that recently Uzbekistan adopted a new constitution. So before we go over to the presidential election, I would request Mr. Eldor to please tell our listeners about the adoption of the new constitution by the Republic of Uzbekistan.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, dear listeners. I am once again very grateful for this invitation and happy to share with you about the main political events of Uzbekistan that we have conducted very recently. You rightly mentioned, Dr. Khalid Taimur Akram, that Uzbekistan conducted a referendum on the 30th of April this year to renew the constitution of Uzbekistan, which was due to the fact that Uzbekistan has been carrying out reforms in many spheres, be it political, be it economic, be it social. And for that purpose, there was a need to update the constitution to reallocate the powers and powers of the authorities, including the president himself, the parliament, and the local bodies. So that's why this new constitution was also adopted to redistribute the powers, because now, due to the reforms, more and more authorities are given to the local bodies, be it the mayor's office from one side, or from the other side, the civil society institutions, including NGOs and the media. So to exercise these powers, which were transferred to them with the intention to establish a dialogue with people, with the intention to establish an public scrutiny over the governmental authorities based on certain legal documents, it was now necessary to continue to give a more stronger legal effect of these reforms. So that's why these authorities are now enshrined in the new constitution. According to this new constitution, now people have more control over the public bodies. Now the public bodies are more accountable to the society. And I should also mention that more transparency must be ensured by the new constitution. And due to the fact that decentralization policy is being implemented in the country, now very low level bodies of the government, even now, they have more authority to solve the issues of people as soon as possible for their convenience. So that's why this new constitution was adopted. And because of that new constitution, which was observed by international observers, including observers from our brotherly Pakistan, they all mentioned how that was successfully conducted. Afterward, Uzbekistan has conducted presidential elections.
Yeah, thank you very much. You have very elaborately explained about the constitution. Now coming over to the presidential election, as we know that His Excellency President Shavkat Mirziyoyev had decided to go with the new constitution, and he forego his term. So how much tenure was left which he has forgone?
Yes, thank you for this question. Of course, he was elected in 2021, and according to the constitution, we had a 5-year term. Which means he still had some more years to serve. But because the new constitution was adopted, there was a decision that now we need to have new presidential elections and update the structure of the government, update the certain policies based on the new constitution, so that we have new authorities, new bodies to implement the new constitution into practice. So based on that, there was a need to conduct new presidential elections, even though he still had several years to serve. He asked the society that they should vote for the new president, and that's why there was a decision to conduct these presidential elections beforehand.
Yes, I think that was a very good gesture by His Excellency President Shavkat Mirziyoyev. Now coming over to the July 9th elections, since I was also there as international election observer, along with many other election observers from around the world. So before asking you the details, I would just give you one line that I have been election observer in many countries of the world, but I have never seen such kind of peaceful and such kind of elaborated elections which happened in Uzbekistan. So can you please tell us about the arrangements which were done by the Election Commission, and how did Election Commission in a very short time manage to train people, manage to train the staff, and plan everything?
Thank you. Yes, this is a very important question, and thank you for your kind words based on your observations that you follow the organizational issues that were conducted by the Central Election Commission. As I should mention that due to the fact that now public officials have become more closer to the society, they started feeling their accountability in front of them. They started as such reporting to the society. People started realizing that they should also be part of these reforms. So that's why they started bringing new ideas, new suggestions on how the country should proceed further with the reforms. And as such, they also felt the responsibility towards the future of the country, towards the future of the society. And they, of course, for that purpose, expressed their will to vote in the elections that we have recently conducted. So that's why they themselves wanted to show their responsibility for the future of the country. And for that purpose, it was their will to come to those polling stations that were organized properly and express their wills. So that's why, and another very important issue that the Uzbek people, Uzbek society, very much values the stability, very much values the peace in the country. And for that purpose, they are also, of course, taking their care. They are taking care of keeping this peace and stability. And for that purpose, they thought that the current president is the person who will further guarantee the prosperity, stability, and peace in the country. So for that purpose, most of the people voted for him.
Yeah, thank you very much. You have very elaborately explained about what Election Commission did. So, how many candidates took part in this presidential election, and which parties took part in the presidential elections?
Yes, the election, I should mention that based on the constitution and based on the election code of Uzbekistan, it's a Central Election Commission who decides all those measures to with regard to conducting the elections, and they announced that the election campaign began on May 10th, 2023, and the election campaign of the candidates for the presidency took place within a month, starting from June 7th to July 7th, and to make those polling stations easily accessible and as close as possible to the people, the Central Election Commission established 10,784 polling stations. Besides, we should also note that these last years, Uzbek government has been taking much attention to deal with those Uzbek citizens, Uzbek diaspora who have been living abroad for several years. So for that purpose, the Central Election Commission also followed this example and wanted those people living abroad to express their political right and vote. For that purpose, they established 56 polling stations in 39 foreign countries for those Uzbek citizens who live abroad. Besides, we should also note that early voting at polling stations also was made possible because not everyone could have been available to vote on July 9th. So that's why they even made it possible to vote earlier. For that purpose, starting from June 28th up until July 5th, these days people could have come to the polling stations and vote. And according to the Central Election Commission, 815,313 voters exercised this political right. As for the nominations, there were 4 candidates for the presidency. We currently have 5 political parties. So one political party that joined the other biggest political party in Uzbekistan to nominate the current president, which is the National Revival Milli Tiklanish Party. They supported the candidate nominated from the Liberal Democratic Party of Uzbekistan, which is the candidacy of Mr. Mirziyoyev. And other 3 political parties also came up with their nominees, and 2 of them were the leaders of those political parties, and one of them was a lady from the Supreme Court. She was the first chairwoman of the Supreme Court. And I should also mention that, of course, during this election campaign, candidates enjoyed the equal right of access to media, because we know that media is an essential tool to talk about the candidates, to talk about their programs, about their promises. So for that purpose, those candidates were allocated similar time both on TV and on radio. And I should also mention that even though internet media is very much becoming popular in Uzbekistan, candidates also had an equal access in Republican and in local newspapers for their information, for their programs to be demonstrated for those who are active in political life. And I should mention that during the information campaign, all candidates very actively use their tools in preparing posters, in using billboards, both across the whole country, And they also demonstrated that they created several types of video materials to demonstrate their, to talk about their candidates and to talk about their programs. And I should mention that these billboard, these monitors, these posters were installed in the most in places where people used to get together more. So this is very important. And of course, a very essential requirement of international standards of the elections, just like you mentioned, are the international observers. So that's why Uzbekistan invited 797 international observers from around the world. And we should mention that over 330 of them were from 47 countries around the world, and over 460 of them were from 15 international organizations who monitored the whole process. At the same time, of course, to ensure more openness and transparency, Central Election Commission also invited journalists. So we should mention that more than 1,400 local and foreign journals covered the election process. They particularly noted also the latest changes in the Uzbekistan's electoral legislation and a very successful conduction of these elections. So very important part of the elections, also the presence of the Office for Democratic Institutions and Human Rights of the OSCE and the long-term, so their long-term mission, and plus the long-term mission of the Commonwealth of Independent States directly monitored the entire electoral process. Also, we hosted the Inter-Parliamentary Assembly of the Commonwealth of Independent States, Shanghai Cooperation Organization observers, Organization of Islamic Cooperation observers, and the Organization of Turkish States also participated and monitored the elections throughout the whole country.
Yeah, thank you very much. You have explained quite elaborately about the procedures and how did the election happen. So now we'll just take a break, and we have a very good Uzbek language song for our listeners. And let me tell listeners that Urdu language and Uzbek language have 5,000 words in common. Basically, once the Urdu language was made with the words of Persian, Uzbek, and Turkish language. So when we listen to Uzbek songs, so most of the words we do understand because most of the words are of our own language, because we took it from Uzbek language. And as you know that historically Pakistan and Uzbekistan, the friendship, the culture, it dates back to many, many centuries, and Islam also came from the land of Samarkand and Bukhara to this part of the world. So let us first listen to a Uzbek song, and then we'll come back, and then we will ask you again about the outcomes of this election and about how these elections will affect the Uzbek development in times to come. So let us first listen to the song. So we are back again, and we have with us Mr. Eldor from the Development Strategy Center in Republic of Uzbekistan. And we will be talking to him now again on the outcome of the presidential elections. Mr. Eldor, you are right now sitting in Tashkent, and Tashkent is the city of a very historical city. So please tell us, please tell our listeners about Tashkent and how, what is the historical value of Tashkent, because there are many people in Pakistan who would like to visit Tashkent and who would like to come over there.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for this interest towards Uzbekistan, towards Tashkent. Tashkent is the capital of Uzbekistan and administrative center of the government.
Sorry, can you speak a little bit louder, please?
Yes, yes. Thank you for this interest towards Uzbekistan and Tashkent once again. Yes, Tashkent is the capital of Uzbekistan and the administrative center. We should mention that Tashkent is important because, of course, it's a metropolitan city. Here you could, of course, observe the traditions and cultures from different regions of Uzbekistan, because Uzbekistan is a multinational country. There are more than 130 nationalities living in Uzbekistan, and most of them can be observed in Tashkent itself. So that's why it's very important. So those who have short or limited time to see Uzbekistan mostly limit themselves with Tashkent, and Tashkent is both modern city and ancient city. Tashkent also hosts very old cultural buildings. Tashkent has its own tradition. Tashkent has its own meals. So even if you compare the most common meal in Uzbekistan, we call it in Uzbek osh or pilav. It's the most, I would say, common meal in Uzbekistan. And even looking at the fact that it is different in each region, you can see how different the regions of Uzbekistan are. So for that purpose, of course, we would also recommend our Pakistani friends to see, not to limit their visits to Uzbekistan with Tashkent, but there are more ancient cities which have more cultural heritage of Uzbekistan, like Samarkand, Bukhara, and Khiva. So whenever they have time, they, of course, most airline companies, first of all, fly to Tashkent, so they have a chance to see Tashkent. Afterwards, of course, we would recommend them to go to the regions of Uzbekistan. Tashkent also have a nightlife nowadays because more than 50% of our population are young people. They also like going out in the evenings. The infrastructure now allows the tourists to dine out very late. The infrastructure also allows this selection of different cuisines in Tashkent. Both local and international cuisines are available. And many people in Tashkent speak in foreign languages, including English. So that's why tourists get along very easy in Tashkent. And the fact that Uzbekistan opened up to the world now, of course, the payment with different international cards are also made available in Tashkent, so that they can easily shop and pay for their bills in Tashkent. So that's why we, of course, welcome our friends from Pakistan to Tashkent and see other cities of Uzbekistan.
Thank you very much. Now coming back to the Uzbek presidential elections and re-election of His Excellency President Shavkat Mirziyoyev. As we know, as you know, that President Shavkat Mirziyoyev is known in Pakistan and known in the region as a connectivity man, because his ideas of connectivity which he is implementing are very, very strong. For example, the idea of bringing railway via Afghanistan to Pakistan and linking Central Asia with the Arabian Sea. That's a very grand idea. So what can you tell us about the ideas of connectivity of His Excellency President Shavkat Mirziyoyev?
Yeah, this is a very important part of his foreign policy, I should stress out, because Uzbekistan, with the start of the presidency of His Excellency Shavkat Mirziyoyev, started opening up to the whole world. And very importantly, Uzbekistan first concentrated on handling some long-time issues within the Central Asian countries. So Uzbekistan pushed to the more friendly, to establishing more friendly atmosphere within the region. So that's why now the atmosphere in the region has changed in a positive way. Now our close neighbors started talking to each other and solving their problems, issues, even long-term issues like the problems with borders, for example, or the problems with water issues, for example, or the energy issues that Uzbekistan and the region pays much attention to. So this is very important. Afterwards, of course, due to the fact that Uzbekistan wanted more tourists to come, it abolished a visa requirement to countries over to the citizens of more than 100 countries. And additionally, those citizens of foreign countries who still need a visa to Uzbekistan, they can use a very simplified way of getting Uzbek visa, which is available online. So that once again shows that Uzbekistan wanted to be open to the whole world, and by as an example, it also wanted to bring more tourists to Uzbekistan. And very importantly, you rightly mentioned connectivity is an important factor to ensure prosperity of people, especially taking into consideration that our region, and especially Uzbekistan, is a landlocked country. We need to build more roads. We need to build more corridors. We need to take care more measures to connect Uzbekistan and the region with the other parts of the world. So that's why Uzbekistan also is paying very much attention to connect the region with the South Asia, Pakistan and India. So that's why Uzbekistan is dealing in that regard. And you rightly mentioned that Uzbekistan, to diversify its transport corridors, is pushing the project of building railway roads through Afghanistan until Pakistan, and of course it's a priority to go to Indian Ocean through Pakistan's ports, for example, and bring the products and goods of friendly nations to Uzbekistan within a short period of time, and bring our products both to our friendly countries within a short period of time through these roads. This is very much important. And in the foreign policy of Uzbekistan, of course, it's paying much attention to establishing friendly relations with as many countries as possible. So that's why it has a diversified portfolio of states with whom it's dealing, be it European Union, be it, for example, the United States, be it our Asian friends, so or Arabic countries are among the priority countries that Uzbekistan is trying to deal with and connect them with the region. So it's very important that Uzbekistan is trying to connect not only itself, but the whole region to these main actors in the global arena.
Thank you very much, Mr. Eldor. And I'm sure that today people in Pakistan, the listeners, they know much more about the presidential elections, about the foreign policy of Uzbekistan, about the connectivity projects which Uzbekistan is doing. And I'm sure that more and more people will visit Uzbekistan, because Uzbekistan is not only very historical, but also it has a great Islamic value for us, because there are lots of Islamic heritage places in Uzbekistan, and Samarkand and Bukhara, they were the seat of learning for Islam, and for different other books were written in, and historic books were written by the scholars of these countries. So thank you very much for being with us today. And I'm sure that in times and days to come, we will meet you again online also and physically also. And we would like to welcome people of Uzbekistan to Pakistan also. Thank you very much.
Thank you for hosting me. Thank you very much. Thank you. And all the best.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.